It was the shock heard round the world when the news broke that Kyle Busch, the two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, had been arrested in Cancun, Mexico. The buzz of speculation and intrigue quickly spread through the NASCAR community like wildfire. The racing world was left in disbelief as they learned that the sport's biggest star was facing serious legal trouble after being caught with an unlicensed .380 caliber handgun at a private airport terminal. Kyle Busch, who has made a name for himself on the track with his fearless driving and competitive spirits, was suddenly facing the reality of a potential 3.5-year prison sentence in a foreign country. The situation was a nightmare for Busch, his family, and his fans, who couldn't imagine the sport's brightest stars being locked away in a Mexican prison. According to an official report from the Public Ministry of the Attorney General of the Republic of Quintana Roo, Mexico, Kyle Thomas Busch was taken into custody while attempting to board a private plane with his wife. The arrest was made by members of the Quintana Roo National Guard who were tipped off by private security personnel assigned to the Fixed Base Operator, or FBO, terminal for private flights. As Busch was passing his luggage through the screening process, a .380 caliber pistol-type firearm with a magazine stocked with 6 hollow point cartridges was detected. The incident took place on January 27, and 2 days later, Busch was presented before a judge. It is clear from the information provided in the report that Busch was taken into custody and spent some time behind bars in Mexico. This is in line with the country's strict enforcement and punishment of anyone caught with an unlicensed firearm. Kyle Busch was unable to avoid the worst-case scenario and instead received a conviction which could have serious implications for his life and career in America. This incident is a wake-up call for Busch, who will now have to face the consequences of his actions and work to rebuild his reputation. Next, this is what Busch had to say about the situation. In late January, Samantha and I enjoyed a several-day vacation in Mexico. When departing the country, my handgun was flagged during routine screening at the airport. I have a valid concealed carry permit from my local authority and adhere to all handgun laws, but I made a mistake by forgetting it was in my bag. He continued, saying, "Discovery of the handbag led to my detainment while the situation was resolved. I was not aware of Mexican law and had no intention of bringing a handgun into Mexico. When it was discovered, I fully cooperated with the authorities, accepted the penalties, and returned to North Carolina. I apologize for my mistake and appreciate the respect shown by all parties as we resolve the matter. My family and I consider this issue closed." The possession of an unlicensed .380 caliber handgun at a private airport terminal in Mexico could have led to serious consequences, including a 3.5-year prison sentence. So, how did Busch manage to avoid this outcome? The answer lies in the nature of gun possession crimes in Mexico. Gun crimes are not uncommon in the country, particularly at land border crossings. However, this case was different as it took place at a private airport terminal where Mexican federal authorities screened baggage being loaded onto private jets. Busch claims that he was not aware of the presence of the handgun in his bag and that he was unfamiliar with Mexican law. This raises the question of whether this was a mistake or an intentional act, but given Busch's status as a multi-million professional race car driver with celebrity status, it seems unlikely that he would risk going to prison for years over possessing a handgun. The truth is that it can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. This is especially true when it comes to land border crossings, where individuals with firearms in their vehicles can easily drive into the wrong lane and find themselves in Mexico unable to turn back. This is a situation that has occurred all too frequently and highlights the importance of being aware of one's surroundings and the laws of the countries one is visiting. This is not just limited to land border crossings, but it also occurs at airports. In the year 2022, the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, convicted a total of 6,542 firearms at security checkpoints, and an alarming 88% of those firearms were loaded. Based on treaties between the two countries, Americans arrested overseas are usually visited by representatives of the U.S. consulate within 24 hours when they are notified by local authorities that an American citizen is in custody. So, in Busch's case, there are a few additional caveats. First, he is wealthy. Second, he already has an attorney in the United States who can react quickly and reach out to colleagues abroad. Third, he was cooperative, which was even pointed out by Mexican authorities. Fourth, he took responsibility immediately. For those who are thinking gun ownership is illegal in Mexico, it is not. Carrying an unlicensed gun greater than a .380 caliber or ammunition by a non-Mexican citizen is illegal. Busch was carrying a Ruger .380. It is a small, black lightweight and has a pocket clip to latch or secure it in a person's pocket. A photo of the gun Busch was said to be carrying was posted by the Riviera Maya News. The editor of the Riviera Maya News assisted kicking the tires in obtaining information related to Busch's arrest and indicated which Mexican statutes were involved in the case. Busch's official sentence was issued on February 3rd, 5 days after his appearance before a judge in Cancun. As that was happening, Busch was actually in California at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum answering questions from the NASCAR media about the Busch Light clash. It is likely the only people who knew what was going on at that time were a select few NASCAR officials and those people close to Busch. Yes, Busch alerted NASCAR in accordance with the procedures laid out in the NASCAR rulebook. A spokesperson for the sanctioning body provided a statement to kick in the tires and Busch's faces. No forthcoming issues from NASCAR. In 1998, a case involving Texas native Thomas Bean, who was caught with shotgun shells in his truck, resulted in Bean spending more than 5 months behind bars before his transfer and release were negotiated by attorneys and American politicians who intervened on his behalf. Once he returned to Texas, he lost his right to own firearms for a period of time and had a criminal conviction on his record in Mexico. He fought the gun ownership issue on constitutional grounds for 2 years, and it wasn't until multiple cases involving American citizens losing their rights because of conviction in a foreign country that the U.S. Supreme Court ruled his rights should be restored. Bean had already received a state pardon from then Texas Governor Rick Perry. While the illegal scenario surrounding Busch's arrest is complex and ongoing, it is important to note that it does not directly impact the NASCAR community. Fans should resist the urge to complain and whine about NASCAR's decision to allow Busch to race, as it is a separate issue entirely. Indeed, fans should focus on what's important: the thrill and excitement of the race. The legal troubles of one driver shouldn't detract from the sport's larger narrative, and it's up to Kyle Busch to take responsibility for his actions and work to regain the trust of the NASCAR community. What do you think of this Kyle Busch's legal scenario? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to NASCAR Today for more interesting and exciting updates.